Good evening, Pawn Jumpers, and welcome to the Third Rock. This one is on there's more than one kingdom of Israel. But I just want to point out real quick, Judaism, the rabbis preserved the Talmud, okay, and there are a Babylon Talmud and a Jewish Talmud. Okay, and remember, these guys were slaves to these Babylonians. And so it's pretty weird that they have the same book or Bible or Dead Sea Scrolls or whatever you want to call them before they get the New Testament or the New Testament. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. Also, Abraham didn't speak Hebrew. There was no Hebrew. He spoke Arabic. I'll show that to you later. Okay. The Torah of Moses. Remember, I just showed you the Talmud. That's from supposedly the Jewish people. Okay. That was before Moses. Now here's Moses. The Torah of Moses. The stories of Joseph and his brothers. And the sovereignty of the Hebrews in Egypt. And the Exodus were well known. Genesis through Exodus. The Exodus from Egypt is a central point in the Jewish faith. Being commended annually in the Passover, the essential reality of the event is stressed in the words of the Passover Seder. We were slaves in Egypt, and with an outstretched hand, and a strong arm, the Lord brought us out. A nation was born in that event. They were born in that event. So it would be centuries before it was recognized as such. So all this other stuff, before the Torah, that hasn't even came yet, they had the Talmud, and they weren't a nation yet. Okay? So they didn't have a Bible yet. Okay? There was no Bible. Okay? We were slaves. Okay, it brought us out, and then they became a nation. Though it would take centuries before it would be recognized as one. The Jews believed that this great event, the Exodus from Egypt, which is a propaganda thing, in my opinion, was a demonstration of propaganda that Israel was indeed the people of God. Propaganda. Who's God? Who? How do we know? It's their word against whose? 50 days later, the Torah was revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai, alone with no witnesses. Of course, they don't say that. Commemorating the Feast of the Week, Pentecostal. The basic meaning of the Hebrew Torah is not law, and that term is usually understood, but rather instructed to the Jew. God's Torah is his revealed will, considering how his people are to live. He is a holy God, and his people are to be holy. The Kohelet system incorporated in the tabernacle rituals and explained more fully in Leviticus was the basis for the Jewish sacrifice system. Oh boy. As long as the temple stood, the Jews also believed that God revealed an oral law. So there was more than the first law that they had, that they got from the Babylonians. Then they had the Moses law, not the law of God. Moses. Golly, I can't believe people don't understand this. Never trust one man. Religion of prophets. The Torah is the base of the Jewish religion. Okay, I read all that, right? The law, okay. D, exile. In 722 BC, before Christ, the northern kingdom of Israel, was taken into captivity by Sargon II. The prophet saw this sinful behavior, King 17, 7, 8, Ezekiel 23, whatever that is right there. The warnings went unheeded. However, after the series of exiles in 608 to 586, the southern kingdoms, Judea was no more. The temple of Solomon had built was destroyed by the Babylonians. For a detailed chronology, see Jerusalem 3e. The nation, except for the poorest and the weakest person, kings, was taken into exile, although some have challenged the historic accuracy of this statement. It occurs while with what we know as Assyrians and Babylonian policies concerning conquest. The rise of Judaism. So remember, the Jews, the Israelites, or whatever you want to call them, because there's a group of Jews and then there's a group of Israelites. Okay? The Jews that are from Judea and the Israelites, I think, are from, I think it's Jacob's bloodline. You gotta look that up, okay? I'm punching holes in the dark. I know I read that somewhere there. No woman. Oh man, I don't know how to say it. No men culture. Correctly speaking, Abraham and the patriarchs were Semites, or more specifically Hebrews. And the tribes of Egypt were called Hebrew. The tribes in Egypt were called Hebrew, Exodus. The descendants of Jacob were called the people of Israel. There we go. The Jacob, I thought I said someone else. Were called the people of Israel, or Israelites. After the division of the monarchy following the reign of Solomon, BC, the people of the northern kingdom were called by the name of Israel, while the people of the southern kingdom were called Judeans. Right there, you can look it up in the Bible. It says right there where you can look it up. The name Israel was also used, however, for both people. I still think it's the Trinity, God. 3 names to make one God. But that's just my opinion. Earth and the Great Synagogue, the exiles of Judea, who were now called Jews or Judeans, were allowed by Cyrus the Great, 538 BC, to return to their land to rebuild the temple. This post-exile temple was known as the Second Temple, a name also applied by the Jews to the temple that Herod beautified and enlarged. Israel was responsible also for a new emphasis on the law. New emphasis on the law. Okay, and it says right there, you can look that up in the Bible. According to the Jewish tradition, and that part of the book refers to Arabic translation, not Hebrew. Not Hebrew, look at that. Arabic translation, or Tungum. Tradition also records that Ezra and the men of the Great Synagogue were responsible for writing the law in Assyrian letters, not a freaking book. Probably meaning that the ancient Torah was copied from Arab system of writing, or the square letters with which we are familiar today, although the recent scholars have questioned whether there was a Great Synagogue. You have to look that up. Jewish tradition states that Moses received the law from Sinai and committed it to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders, and then the elders to the prophets, and the prophets committed it to the men of the Great Synagogue. And he had no witness when he went up there and carved those rocks, in my opinion. Same thing with Muhammad. He went to a cave and he had a dream, but nobody witnessed. And he came out, and then people are followers for sure. Used sales. All you gotta do is be a used car salesman. You get in. You could form an army. This references to the oral law, which later became the basis of the Talmud, which is fucking from Babylon, which these people were influenced by it because they were slaves by them. The rabbinic tradition, scribes and rabbis, scholars are credited with handling down the oral law, or the ordinance, and the degrees, which are always considered distinct from the Bible biblical Torah. Many of the sayings can be found in C.G. Montefiore and H. Lowe. These are rabbis from Judaism. Simon the Righteous was named as one of the last survivors of the Great Synagogue. He is possibly to be identified with Simon, the son of Onas, a complementary of Jesus ben Sarah. Jesus ben Sarah. ca 20 BC. And the first of the new successions of teachers who are known by name. The earlier period, 200 BC, ended with 5 pairs of teachers, the last of which were Hillel and Shammai, the grandsons of Helion and Gambala, Acts, and the 6th descendant of Helion and Judah the prince, emphasized the law, beginning with Uzzar. I don't know how to say that fucking name. Is often viewed by Christians as the beginning of the legitimate system. In reality, it was this emphasis that preserved the Jewish as a people of the Torah, not the Bible. Okay, and the Torah is the freaking law of Moses, not no almighty God. And Moses grew up in Egypt and was trained by the wizards and sorcerers. So therefore, he was a freaking wizard. I don't know how other way to explain this, what other language you want me to use. He pretty much, seen an opening. And really can't blame him. You know what I'm saying? People are easily controlled. They want to be controlled. The Jewish people wanted a man to bow down to, a god, a man god. Pretty much they wanted a Nimrod. Isn't that what Nimrod was? He was a mighty hunter in the Lord, and pretty much the Jewish people wanted a Nimrod, in my opinion. Freaking Nimrods. Anyhow, just showing you facts. If you want, I could pull that out in the Bible, but all them Bibles, I got many more, some in the other room, all kinds of stuff. We'll go and we learn together, guys. Okay, check out this book. This is like one out of 5 encyclopedias I have. I got some more coming on the way. I hope this was helpful. There is more than one kingdom of Israel. So what they got going on right now over there, how do we know those are the right Jewish people? How do we know those are the children of God? Just because they say so? There is more than one kingdom of Israel. Y'all have a good night. Try not to cast any stones. And be good on your walk on the third rock. Safety out.